There is a bank audit, and in this case of bank audit, there are four joint auditors who are being appointed. Now, in such case, when these four joint auditors are appointed, the requirement it states that there should be a division of work among the joint auditors. So, how do you describe the division of work among the joint auditors? First of all, you have SA 299, which deals with responsibility of the joint auditors. It also highlights about the division of work among the joint auditors. Each joint auditor shall be responsible only for the work allocated to the joint auditor, including the proper execution of the audit procedures. So each of the joint auditor will be responsible for the proper execution of the audit procedures which are allocated to him. Now, where specific divisions or zones are given to a particular joint auditor, in such case, they'll have a separate and a specific responsibility for these areas which are being specifically given to the joint auditors. That's the thing here. So each joint auditor has to obtain information explanation from the management in respect of the division and unit zones which are allocated to them, and they should evaluate the information obtained from the other joint auditors. Further, the joint auditor shall have a proper coordination among themselves. And there are cases where the joint auditor will be jointly and severally be responsible. See, where the work is divided, they will be responsible for that particular area. But where there are certain cases where they will be jointly and severally be responsible. First of all, where the audit work is not divided among the joint auditors and it is carried out by all the joint auditors. So that is the first thing actually, where the work is not divided among the joint auditors and it is carried out by all the joint auditors. Then in such case, they'll be jointly and severally be responsible. Second one, where the decision is taken by all the joint auditors under the audit planning in respect of the common audit areas. So concerning the nature, extent, timing of the audit procedures to be performed by the each joint auditor. So whatever the decision is taken, which is taken by all the joint auditors while doing an audit planning in respect of the common audit areas. So common audit areas, what nature, extent, timing of the procedures we will be applying, they'll be very clear on that. And the matters which are brought to the notice of the joint auditors by any one of them, and there is an agreement by all the joint auditors. Example, say there is a matter related to going concern or matter related to a fraud in the entity. And further, examining that the financial statement comply with the requirement of the statutes. Presentation and disclosure of the financial statement is as per the applicable financial reporting framework, and ensuring that the audit report complies with the relevant statute and applicable standards and auditing standards and pronouncements of ICI. So he has to examine that whether financial statements are complying with the requirement of relevant statutes. Also, the disclosure and presentation of financial statement is as per the applicable financial reporting framework. The audit report, basically it complies with the requirement of the relevant statutes, applicable standards and the auditing standards, and also the pronouncements of ICI. And further, when we talk about this actually, so this is how the areas where the joint auditor will be jointly and severally be responsible. Where in the course of the audit, the joint auditor come across a matter which are relevant to the areas of responsibility of the other joint auditor, which deserve their attention or which requires disclosure or discussion with the other joint auditor, or where the judgment of other joint auditor is required. In such case, the joint auditor who comes across the information, he has to communicate to the other joint auditor before the completion of the engagement. That is why we say there should be a proper coordination among all the joint auditors. It shall be the responsibility of each of the joint auditor to determine what is the nature, extent, timing of the audit procedure to be applied in relation to the work allocated to the said joint auditor. It is their decision on what procedure they will apply. And it is an individual responsibility of the joint auditor to study and evaluate the prevailing system of the internal control, the assessment of the risk in relation to the areas of the work allocated to the said joint auditor. As regards the decision taken by all the joint auditors under the planning for the common audit areas, where they decide on the nature, extent, timing of the audit procedures for common audit areas actually. Okay, so each of the joint auditor will be responsible for the appropriateness of the decision as to the nature, extent, timing of the audit procedures agreed by all of them. But the proper execution of the audit procedure is the individual responsibility of the joint auditor concerned. See, you have, for the common audit area, you have decided that what is the nature, extent, timing of the audit procedure you will apply. But for a proper execution of these audit procedure, this will be an individual responsibility of the respective joint auditor. Okay, this is all about the responsibility of the joint auditor and how they divide the work among themselves.